Yeah, so here we go again. I was not shopping. I believe I've used this to justify driving across town for no other reason than driving across town. Um, I am doing this, so it's no other. It is another reason, but that's what I've used it for, I guess. Because driving aimlessly is not legal, and I'm too legal to do that. Then, so I had the target of coming here, which is pretty much the polar opposite of town geographically. Not quite exactly 100%, but close enough. Uh, this is the far west. I reside in the far east. Uh, yeah, went out eating, treated myself to some food. Went together with the film club people. That was a fun one. The only thing is, it was too taxing with noise and people and environment for me to stay any longer. So I was the third person to say goodbye, I guess. And I decided, ooh, I like the music I got going tonight. I'm not just going to drive home. So here we are, sitting in the car, talking, squawking. Ah. Yeah. I already said before this year was going to start, well, before this year started, this was going to be a committed year. But it's starting to hit me how committed I am going to be this year, because in the following 7 days, realistically, because I ain't going to have time after, more likely 6 days, and tomorrow I'm not going to do much, so 5 days. I've committed myself to write 26,000 characters. It's an essay, it's not academic writing, so I don't need citations. I just have to come up with the characters and make sure they make sense. I know what to write, and I know how many tangents I can go on, so I'm fairly confident I'll manage. It won't be the easiest of times, and it'll feel like forever, even though it'll only be 5 days and part-time, presumably, even. But I'll feel like I've aged years. I guess that's part of the executive dysfunction stuff with ADHD, though I'm not sure. Uh, I'm pretty sure I'll manage somehow. I'm really not looking forward to it. Like, just talking about this is anxiety inducing. It's not a good state of mind to be in. But that's the way it is, I guess. And I do need to come up with words, characters. Because at the end of the day, though I'm studying film, I am studying, which means it's academic, which means I need to prove I can put together words. Which seems like a bad joke, because at the end of the day, surprise, the amount of words don't dictate their value, and fewer words can have more value. But if the prof decide to give character minimums or word minimums or page minimums, I gotta meet them just as anyone else. And that's even though my, I believe, second paper I written for this studying, for this degree, I've written on the subject of it being irresponsible, or whether it is irresponsible of having page minimums. Surprise. That did fulfill a page minimum, and I had a hard time, just as I will this week. I said tomorrow's not. I'm not going to do much because tomorrow's a bank holiday still. Spring equinox. Well, that have passed, but is the historic feat associated with such. Christians call it Easter, the rebirth of Christ. And I'm not familiar enough with the rest of the world's religions to know if they celebrate something of the like. And again, I would not be surprised, because spring equinox was about a week ago, a bit more, and that is a fest of the heathens and of prehistoric religions. Because in the end of the day, surprise, it's the middle length day of the year, one of two. which I guess do make sense now the clocks are shifted. Oh yeah, the clocks shift on spring and fall equinox. I only just realised for DST. That's amazing. Now DST make more sense. Daylight savings time, that is. Yeah, so that's something. I like the idea of daylight savings time. I don't quite get why one can't just shift all the zones permanently instead of doing daylight savings time locally. If we identified as GMT +2 instead of +1, I mean, okay, it'd still be dark in winter mornings, but at least the evenings wouldn't be as dark in the winter. Who knows? I'm not studying time management. I will have some conflicts with what I got to write this week. Well, the coming week, which is the prof would like to have some projects we worked on and teams we worked in. With data protection laws, I cannot disclose any projects I worked on. I mean, I packed jobs, but I can't say this job is company ABC with gaffer XYZ, because that's data protection laws. I mean, I'm not going to break those. For the teams I worked with, I can disclose some things because some knowledge is out there in the public domain on the public side of site of the company I'm doing my internship at. I don't mind disclosing those people as teams I worked in because I don't think it's dodgy at all. Serious, not sarcasm. Not dodgy at all. Don't sound very serious, but it can be, I guess. That's one thing many people don't even know about. I mean, yeah, okay, with not so young people, they tend to not use singular they because they aren't aware and they don't understand how it works. But that's another thing many people don't appear to want to use. Where was I at? Brain. I just lost my train of thought. That's not very good. Sorry for this. Yeah, I completely lost it. Let me rewatch it. I'll be right back. I'm back. Yeah, okay. I've rewatched. Now I know. That would be tone indicators, like /S for sarcasm, serious, J for joking, etc. I believe a lot more people could use those, and it'd avoid a lot of communication issues. There's a whole video on HJ by Jan Mizali. Sorry for mispronouncing, butchering your name. If you write what I just said, you find it. It's also got an associated blog post with it, all on HJ, which is a tone indicator for half joking, which is a funny concept in itself, but it's their video and their blog post, so I'm not going to take it from them. But with things like not dodgy at all, it's very handy to have tone indicators. In this case, I'd write /serious, or in words say serious. That way people don't have as much room for misinterpretation, because in the end of the day, we're all trying to live together on this planet. We're trying to be a society or societies, and for that it makes sense to have shared protocols. And yeah, okay, sarcasm, etc. can be understood by many people. I can get it and use it quite well, but when I use it, not everyone's always aware, which is why I prefer tone indicators. I mean, singular they is at the point where it's just not young people who aren't aware of its existence. Can't blame them. Never bothered to grow themselves, I guess. And with tone indicators, I suspect it will be a similar thing, lagging behind a few years. to the point where people of my age might very well never adopt it. I'd hope in 10, 15 years it be the people in their 20s using it. I'm saying hope because I don't deem it realistic to be sooner than that. I'd want it to be, but that don't make it true, sadly. In writing, text message and so on, tone indicators are also very powerful. Some people use emoji for that. I do myself occasionally. I fully understand the use of those for that. The problem then again is with Gen X or older, they at times have a hard time differentiating emoji because, surprise, a lot of them are small faces with different things, but if your eyesight's not too great, it's just a yellow blob. Real odd how things work, I guess. I wonder what the generation being born in the past couple of decades would be, because I mean, I'm a Zoomer, born 99, so that would make me Gen Z or a Zoomer. The ADHD generation, which I'm also semi-diagnosed with, so I guess it's correct. Oh, look, a squirrel. Ha ha, gotcha. But with all the society and so on, I suspect a problem is circle jerks, figurative ones, that is. And one can tell when those happen, I mean, at times, because some of them are just influenced by the media people consume for their news or whatever else. One way I have noticed myself on several counts in the past is when people use words that don't appear to be from their frequented lexis, and many people at the same time use that word to describe one thing. Odds are they picked it up from some shared source. And it's almost creepy how some shared sources can impact so many people's opinion to that extent. It's funny how it works, really. I mean, I understand the news is powerful as a concept, but I'm surprised by how many people follow specific, very local news, sometimes not bound to their locale, but from other locales of the same nation, for example. It's just odd. And I suspect one reason many people can be influenced in such ways is because they are not open for investing the effort to consider things themselves. They'll just parrot whatever they heard. And I'm not completely innocent of this myself, but the news I do choose to follow, I mostly follow sources I trust to some degree, I guess. My go-to newspaper is The Economist, and yeah, okay, they do agree with my stance on many things, but they also disclose all their prejudice, which is something I aspire to do in general. I mean, why not just help clear up communication, just as tone indicators do? And singular they can also clear up communication, because singular they, in most cases, so binary identifying people, means you don't know them well enough to know their pronouns, which within itself discloses your relationship to the person you're talking about. And if they are non-binary, it'll still be, not to say obvious, but noticeable you are familiar with them. And that is actually a specific singular they, not an unspecified singular they. Fuck, I'm making shit complex here. On another tangent, I've been using the word sex indiscriminate. For example, when I say guys, I use it in a sex indiscriminate manner. I believe in the English language this does work. It should work similarly in the German, but recently got the feedback that to some of my German friends it's very unclear what I mean with that. And the problem is they want me to use gender instead of sex for that. But sex is the clearly given biological term, the noun that is, not the noun of intercourse, but the noun of one's sexual indicators, ovaries, testicles, etc. Which in my opinion is superior in many a way because it does not discriminate. Well, it clearly does discriminate, but only based on clearly given things. And yes, there is intersex people, but it's not like I'm ignoring those when I say sex indiscriminate or even sex discriminate, because they'll still have something dominant. And if they are, what's the term? Fuck me. I'm sorry for being all over the place tonight. Ugh. I'm missing words tonight. It's horrible. For my 100th episode, yay. Well, it's 101st to be fair. If it's not clear what sex someone belongs to, one can always ask them. But if I say sex discriminate versus indiscriminate, I mean guys is sex indiscriminate. So I don't care if someone is a woman or a man or whatever else intersex. If I say guys, they are included because I make sex indiscriminate use of the term guys. But if I say women, that is a sex discriminate term because, surprise, if you have testicles, you certainly don't qualify. Sorry for being all over the place again. Probably shouldn't have sat down to talk, but I needed to talk, and that's the main purpose of this. And thank you very much for watching this, to all 3 or 4 of you who are watching this. One general aspect is, if you got feedback, feel free to put in the comments. I know some of you have written to me in the past, private channels. Feel free to continue doing that, but I don't mind you putting agreement or disagreement with me in the comments. Might as well. Don't do no harm, and open public discourse, which is interesting. Assuming one can do it in a civilized manner, but I suspect this channel will be small enough for a long enough time. Hopefully forever, who knows, perhaps forever. I shouldn't say hopefully, that's not very nice. Perhaps forever. And in that case, it should be manageable. Because one doesn't need full-time employees to do comments. Isn't this lovely? Anyways, I hope you don't need full-time employees to sort comments on your statements. Would like to remind you, opinions can change. This is me at this point in time on 2024 03 31 21 05 54, and my opinions might change as well. They might not be the same tomorrow. The further you are from this point temporally, the more likely it is my opinions will have changed. Anyways, hope you don't need someone full-time to sort comments on your opinions. Stay safe. Cheerio.